What happens when a single moment of truth shatters the carefully crafted image of the most powerful man in America? Donald Trump walked onto that stage expecting another scripted victory lap, until Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett looked him dead in the eye and tore his legacy apart with nothing but a folder full of receipts and a voice that refused to shake. The Meyerson Symphony Center in Dallas was never meant for politics. It was built for music, for soaring violins and hushed reverent crowds. But on this night, the only symphony was the electric tension crackling through the air, the only rhythm the pounding hearts of millions watching live as history unfolded in real time. The stage lights burned hotter than usual, casting long shadows behind the panel of lawmakers, their faces a mix of anticipation and unease. At the center, Donald Trump stood with his trademark smirk, his red tie knotted tight, his posture radiating the unshakable confidence of a man who had spent decades bending reality to his will. To his right, Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett sat perfectly still, her sharp black suit a silent contrast to the chaos about to erupt. The event had been billed as American Voices, a national conversation on race. A noble idea, if anyone actually believed Trump wanted a conversation. He was there for the optics, another chance to tout his so-called achievements for Black America, another opportunity to spin the narrative his way. The moderator, a seasoned PBS journalist, opened with the usual softballs. Mr. President, your administration has often highlighted its work in minority communities. What would you consider your proudest accomplishment? Trump didn't hesitate. Black unemployment, lowest in history. Opportunity zones, funding for HBCUs. Nobody's done more for Black Americans than me, maybe ever. The crowd reacted predictably, some applause, some murmurs, some silence. Then the moderator turned to Jasmine. Congresswoman Crockett, your thoughts? She didn't rush. She adjusted the mic, took a breath, and locked eyes with Trump. Black people aren't bullet points in a speech, Mr. President. We're not statistics you dust off when you need applause. We live the consequences of your policies every single day. The room went still. I grew up 15 minutes from here. My neighbors lost homes under your tax cuts. My uncle was denied a small business loan after your pandemic response failed him. And when we marched for our lives, we weren't asking for lower unemployment numbers. We were asking not to die in the streets. Trump's smile flickered. He leaned into his mic, ready to bulldoze over her, but Jasmine didn't flinch. You mentioned unemployment, but not wages, not maternal mortality. Not the fact that Black Americans died twice as fast during COVID while your administration slow-walked relief. You don't get to cherry-pick data and call it progress. The audience was frozen. Phones were raised, recording. Trump's face darkened. Excuse me, no. You'll get your turn, Jasmine said, her voice calm but edged like steel. I waited for mine. What happened next wasn't just a debate, it was an excavation. With the precision of a prosecutor, Jasmine reached under her chair and pulled out a plain manila folder. Inside were documents, court rulings, interviews, presidential orders, each one a brick in the wall of Trump's racial record. 1973. The Justice Department sued you and your father for refusing to rent to Black tenants. Applications were marked C for colored. No subtlety, just pure discrimination. She placed the paper on the table. 1989. You took out full-page ads demanding the execution of the Central Park Five, children, innocent children, and decades later, after DNA proved their innocence, you still wouldn't apologize. Another sheet. 2017. You called Haiti and African nations shithole countries. 2020. You labeled Black Lives Matter a symbol of hate. Trump scoffed. Fake news, you're twisting my words. Jasmine didn't blink. Your words don't need twisting. They're clear as day. She held up a final document. And let's talk about what you didn't say. How you gutted voting rights in Black districts. How you rolled back police reform. How you called teaching slavery's history divisive. You don't get to claim credit for Black progress while systematically dismantling it. The room was a powder keg. Trump's face flushed red. "You're lucky to even be on this stage with me," he spat. Jasmine leaned in. "I didn't come here to feel lucky. I came to tell the truth." By the time the forum ended, the internet was already on fire. Clips of Jasmine's dismantling of Trump spread like wildfire. Crockett Challenge trended as people shared their own stories of speaking truth to power. Conservatives scrambled to spin it. Progressives hailed it as a turning point. But Jasmine didn't stick around for the noise. She went straight to a middle school in her district, where a teacher had asked her to speak to a class of wide-eyed 8th graders. "Power isn't about shouting the loudest," she told them. "It's about standing firm when everyone else wants you to sit down." Meanwhile, Trump fumed in his hotel suite, demanding his staff, "Fix this." But some wounds don't heal with spin. The question lingered in the air long after the cameras stopped rolling. If one woman with a folder could shake the foundation of a presidency, what happens when millions refuse to stay silent? Drop a comment below. What moment hit you the hardest? And if you were in that room, what would you have said?